Hello and welcome to episode 69 of the Footy with Fletch podcast. In this episode, I'm joined by Collingwood AFLW draftee and father-daughter selection, Violet Patterson. Violet was selected by Collingwood with pick 42 in the 2024 AFLW draft as a father-daughter selection. Hello, Violet. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks again for joining me. What sports did you play growing up?
I was really into my netball growing up, so I played that for my whole childhood and up until about 2 years ago. And I also did a little bit of touch football just through school, which was a bit more of a social game.
So then how did playing Australian rules footy come about for you?
I think Australian rules footy for me at school was just a bit more of a social thing as well as the touch footy. So I think all of the girls started playing in a knockout competition in about year seven. And then from there I just fell in love with the sport. So just continued there and everything was sort of a slow progression. But yeah, I've always just loved it.
And I suspect you would have supported Collingwood growing up as a child. If it's not Collingwood, who would have it been?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't think I really had any eyes anywhere else. Yeah, Collingwood, I've supported my whole childhood, my whole family have, so that was really the only option for me.
And what was it like to then, I guess, be selected by Collingwood and to know that you would be playing for a club that runs in your family's blood?
It was really incredible. I think even the prospect of it coming into the draft year was just I couldn't really wrap my head around it to start with, but then actually being picked up by the Pies, it was really an honor and just so exciting to be able to play for the club that I've grown up watching and especially to have that connection piece with my dad. It was really cool.
And you played for Glenelg in the SANFLW. How did joining Glenelg come about?
Glenelg came about in my when I was about 14 or 15. So I joined the under 16s competition where we played a sort of round robin game of three rounds there, just against all of the other clubs. And I from that little round robin got asked to play train up in the league. So I think just living locally there, that's sort of where I came into playing for Glenelg and everything just took off from there.
And what have been some of your biggest highlights in footy so far?
So far, I think some big highlights and milestones for me were probably my debut game in that first year training league. I got to debut with some of my best friends, so Poppy Scholes and Matilda Scholes as well, which was just crazy for us because I think we respected the team of league girls so much, and to be so young playing in that group was really great for us. And then again, being the state captain last year and being involved in that team for the past 3 years. I know in my first year I didn't get a game, which was a big setback for me, like mentally. And um, yeah, I had to find some resilience there. But then to be able to see how far I've come and to captain that team was really incredible for me. Yeah.
And how did you sort of deal with the setback of not playing for your state in the first year?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. But again, I had such a great support system at Glenelg, so I didn't even feel like I was missing out. Like everyone wrapped their arms around me and I think I went back and just enjoyed the game itself, took it for what it was back at Glenelg. And yeah, I think all of the girls there and the coaches were really supportive. So it didn't feel too hard at all.
And what do you think were some of your biggest highlights with Glenelg?
Glenelg's highlights for me were probably more in this last year. So I think the first 2 years were great in terms of my social connection. So I was able to form such great friendships with all of the girls, lots of which are playing AFLW now, and I'll be playing against, which will be pretty cool to match up on some of those girls. But also, yeah, the last year just being involved in leadership in Glenelg has been really cool for me, and such a great learning opportunity from some of those girls who yeah, as I said, really respect, and I think they are so knowledgeable in the game and such great leaders. So it was great to sort of feed off of those girls.
And are there any of those players that you sort of touched on briefly that you're really looking forward to playing against in the AFLW?
Yeah, I think all of them I'm looking forward to playing against. I think hopefully standing on Ella Bogue will be pretty cool. Just to see, yeah, see that matchup and just be able to play against each other in a whole different competition will be really great for me because Ella has been such an inspiration. I feel like playing with her in my first season and seeing how far she's gone and how well she did last season, and from lots of conversations how well she's going this preseason, it'll be really cool to play against her.
And in 2023, you played in a Future Stars game down in Frankston. What was that experience like?
That was, yeah, pretty cool. I remember that game as the under 17s futures game. I remember coming up against Ash Centra, not knowing who she was at all, and then just discovering her basically and how incredible she was as a player. So I think playing in that game against all of these big names that have been drafted this last year was really cool. And I thought that um, even in that game, I played my role like pretty well as a wing, but was able to make some, yeah, good connections with some of the girls there that I now still talk to.
Well, I think you'd be very grateful and probably relieved that Ash Centra is now at Collingwood and you don't have to line up against her in the AFLW.
Yes, very relieved about that.
And you played 12 games for Glenelg last year, averaging 18.5 disposals and 7.8 tackles. What did you make of that season as a whole last year?
That was a really great season for me to progress as a player, and I feel like find my feet a little bit, coming in with a little bit more confidence. So I was able, yeah, to play inside mid, which I haven't done since my junior years. That was great for me. But yeah, I definitely built a lot on my confidence in that season, and worked closely with Jess Bates, who is just an incredible player, to be able to develop my game so much more and become, yeah, so much more than just an outside wing player.
And you played on the wing, but also in the midfield last season. What was it like to play in both of those roles?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So we as a team really rely on our midfield to convert that ball and like turn it over. So that was great, and I felt like I had real value in that team, both on the wing and inside mid. But yeah, found it great to play both of those roles because I just do feel really comfortable on the wing, knowing the structure, the running patterns, and I, yeah, felt really comfortable there. But it was also great to develop my game inside.
And do you think there have been any players, AFL or AFLW, that you sort of modelled your game on a little bit?
I have always watched the likes of um Steel Side Bottom and lots of those Collingwood players. So even Nick Dacos in the past few years, it's hard to model your game like theirs because they are so great at what they do. But I think even just taking points from them in their sort of demand for the footy has been one that I've looked up to as well.
And what was it like walking into the Collingwood Football Club for the first time after being drafted?
It was really cool. It was just yeah, they made it so special for all of us draftees and it just felt so different to any time I'd been in there before. I've been through the club on several occasions, sort of through that Nick Dacos Academy. But to actually be a Collingwood AFLW player just felt like a whole new experience. So yeah, it was awesome.
And you mentioned that Nick Dacos Academy. Tell me a little bit more about that.
That's sorry, I think it's the Peter Dacos Academy. There that we is an academy for father sons and father daughters. There so that they just use some of their facilities and their resources to sort of develop the next generation. So yeah, I was provided with some training, extra training, some of their gear, and some cool opportunities like being out on the track last gather round when they did their captains round the men's, which was yeah, really cool.
And you mentioned captaining the South Australian girls side in the Under-18 National Championships last year. What was it like to captain the side and how did that opportunity come about for you?
It was a really yeah, it was a real privilege to captain those girls. I think we had so many leaders in our group, so to be named captain was yeah, really cool for me. But yeah, that came about just through the season. I think we had just a vote of the girls based on different personality traits and everything. So after being named captain and working alongside India, Rashid, and Charlotte Riggs, who we all three of us had different leadership styles, I think we made a really good match of captains for those girls.
And you played 3 games last year for South Australia, averaging 17 disposals, 5 tackles, and 2.7 marks. What did you make of those 3 games as a whole?
I thought those games were really great for me to develop my leadership skills. I thought that the my game style was a bit different to how I'd played at Glenelg. I think off coming onto those games, I was riddled with a few little niggle injuries that I was having to sort of work through, which may have set my form back a little bit, but I just thought it was, yeah, there was a big focus on my leadership style and developing that and being someone on field for the girls to be able to, yeah, pull back in and focus on the game. And I worked, yeah, closely with our coaching staff to sort of send out the same message and just, yeah, be strong as a team there.
And who were the toughest players that you played against in the national championships last year?
There are, yeah, a lot of tough girls playing. I think obviously the higher draft sort of picks such as Havana Harris and stuff, they were really good last year. Someone that I thought was a really good player was Sienna Greaves. She just stood out to me last season and was someone that was, yeah, really tough in an under type player.
A couple of fantastic footballers there. So, what does the process of you were eligible as a father daughter selection? What does that process of then being a father daughter prospect to then getting selected look like?
Um, for my personal experience, it was quite lengthy in terms of my connection with the club. I think I'd been in contact with them for 2 years prior to the draft, with obviously that Peter Dacos Academy. And I think that going into the draft, there was, yeah, just talks about father-daughter, but nothing was really sort of solidified up until after the championship. So the whole of my championship games, I was still, yeah, just playing to be drafted in general, which was, yeah, put a big onus on my game style and how I played and yeah, my performance there. But then following the nationals, I think more communication came out closer to the draft about what that sort of looked like for me personally and how my situation was different. And I think I spoke closely with the Collingwood staff about yeah, that. And then the father-daughter agreement sort of came about prior to the combine. So going into the combine, I had signed that father-daughter agreement. Um, and yeah, sort of knew that Collingwood would be where I was going if nothing else came up earlier. So that gave me a real confidence going into that combine and following my um, championship games, just to be able to sort of take a deep breath going into the draft.
And then you were selected by Collingwood with pick 42 in last year's draft, with Collingwood matching North Melbourne's bid. What was it like to finally be selected by Collingwood?
It was really cool to be finally selected by Collingwood. Um yeah, I just felt such a relief on the night, knowing that I was going to Collingwood. I think it was an honour, obviously, to be bidded on initially by North Melbourne because they're such an incredible club winning the premiership last year. So that was pretty incredible in itself. But then, yeah, for that bid to be matched by Collingwood, it was definitely a relief and it just showed how much I really wanted to be at Collingwood.
And what did your draft look like?
The night of the draft, I spent with some family and friends and just had them over. Um, yeah, just all of the people around me who have supported me through my journey. And yeah, we just sat down and watched the draft. I was able to watch lots of my close friends be drafted all across the nation, which was pretty crazy, but really cool.
And then your coach, Sam Wright, FaceTimed you on draft night. What was it like to receive that FaceTime call?
That was, yeah, very cool. I didn't even know that it was being recorded initially, which was funny. But yeah, it was cool to yeah speak to him again and just know that I was there and we'll have him as a coach next year because yeah he was an incredible player and is an incredible person. So I'm very lucky to have him as my coach.
And you made history becoming the first father-daughter to be selected by her AFLW tied club in a different state. What was that like, and did you realise that leading into the draft?
Yeah, I didn't actually realize it until a few days before the draft, even that week of the draft, that that was the first time in history. So it was really cool to be able to make history like that, and I'm sure lead the way for many more father-daughters to come.
And what do you make of the father-daughter as a concept? Because there's a lot of talk in the AFL with the father-son. A lot of people are up in arms about it. But what do you make of the father-daughter concept, I guess?
I think the father-daughter concept is incredibly important to our game. I think, yeah, it allows women to be part of our game and increase that sort of interaction with it. And I just think it is, yeah, such a cool opportunity for me personally, being a father-daughter, to play where my dad has played. It is just so cool. And I think, yeah, it's such a great opportunity and a great thing that we do have in our game.
And what can Collingwood fans expect to see from you out on the footy field?
Um, I think I am going to be a pretty tough little player on the field, hopefully, and use my strengths through my speed and endurance running, yeah, to keep that ball moving and break those lines.
And you were drafted to Collingwood alongside Ash Centra and Georgia Knight. What was it like to be drafted alongside those players?
It was pretty cool. Yeah, and I just think having those two in our team's just going to be so good for us this year and getting to know them personally. They're such great girls and yeah, already some of my best friends. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do this year and how they're going to go this season because I'm sure we're going to see great things from them both.
And has there been anyone in and around the club, a player, it might be a staff member, that's sort of taken you under their wing early on in your time at the club?
Yeah, I think I have been working closely with my midfield coach. So Tom Willison. Who Willow has been really great for me. So I've definitely been speaking to him a lot and absorbing all the knowledge that he has as well. But through my connection with the girls, I've also been working with a variety of them, but specifically Britt Benici, just to work on some of my areas of improvement and strengthen the things that I'm good at as well. So she's been awesome for me and she is also such a great player.
And the AFLW pre-season is officially underway. There was a bit of testing and an induction last week. What was the first week like, and what's it like to be getting into the groove of things?
The first week was really cool. It was definitely a big change. We had been in at the club for a number of weeks with our non-compulsory session. So just getting a feel for the social side, meeting everyone and getting a bit of touch. But the first week was a lot more intensity and it just sort of set the scene for what our pre-season's going to look like. So yeah, the trainings are definitely a lot more intense. But focusing on our structure and everything that's gonna, yeah, represent how Collingwood want to play. It's been really good last season, and yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a great pre-season for us.
And what goals and ambitions do you have for the upcoming season?
I think my initial goal will probably be to play this season. That would be a great one for me. I think yeah, playing AFLW is obviously and has always been my main goal. So I'm very excited to see what comes of that. But obviously, um, there's lots of things that we have to do leading up to that. So I'm just really wanting to focus on having a really strong pre-season and just feeling confident in my game and my teammates to yeah be able to perform there. So.
And you've recently made the move from South Australia to Victoria. How did you find that move?
It has been a little bit of a struggle, but very good. Obviously, there's going to be some hard little things in there, living out of home for the first time. But yeah, I've really loved it. Um, Melbourne's so great, and I'm so lucky to be able to live with one of my best friends, Poppy Scholes, who is now at Carlton. So that has made the transition so much easier, and I feel like I have a sister in her, so it doesn't really feel like I've left too much at home. I've got a little support system and fan base here through my cousins and my family. So yeah, I'm loving it so far.
And what's it been like to live with Poppy?
It's been pretty good. It's been very fun. Um, yeah, to live with one of your best friends, yeah, is very exciting and very fun. But um, yeah, we're definitely figuring out a lot of things. I think we are still young, so lots of mistakes do happen, and we're getting there with our cooking as well.
What would be your go-to signature dish to cook?
Oh, I think anything burrito bowls or rice bowls is our go-to. It's very quick and simple, and I feel like you can't really go wrong.
And what's it been like to, I guess, get to know the vibe in Melbourne? Because I imagine it's quite different to Adelaide.
Yeah, it is very different. It's a lot bigger here. There's a lot more going on. Um, but it's been cool to go and explore and adventure um all the different parts and lots of different food locations and spots that we've loved to go and see. It's very different for Poppy and I both, considering we used to live towards the beach. And now we don't have that at our doorstep basically. So that's been a bit hard for us both.
And you're currently studying at university. What are you studying at the moment and how are you finding it?
I'm currently studying occupational therapy. I'm in my second year, so I did a full year last year. And I absolutely love my degree and what I'm doing and everything that I study. It's been great. I feel like uni's hard sometimes. You get in like big slogs of assignments and tests. But yeah, other than that, I'm loving it.
And do you see any similarities in the way that your father played his football and the way that you go about your footy?
Yeah, I do. I think I see lots of similarities in sort of his grit and determination, and I feel like I try my best to emulate that in how I play. So he was definitely a very tough footballer, and yeah, I like to hope that I'm play similar to that.
And now into a couple of quick fire questions. Is it a Palmy or a Palmer?
It is a palmy.
Oh, I'd have to, oh, not sure I agree about that, but anyway. Do you have a nickname in and around the club yet? And if so, how did that come about?
I don't. I do. I have Vi, V, or Pado. Any three of those, any I'll respond to. Pado is usually the one that more of the coaches sort of used. I think copying my dad.
And who are some of the funniest teammates in and around the club?
Georgia Knight is such a funny girl. She's so loud and energetic, so she always keeps me entertained. But there's so many personalities at our club that, yeah, all contribute to us being very loud around the club.
Is there one locker in and around the change rooms that is a bit messy, a player that's a bit messy?
We have just started our fine system, and I got sent about 4 videos of messy um, change rooms, locker rooms, but there's no one that I can think of straight away.
And do you have any pre-game rituals or superstitions before a game?
I do. I always have my banana protein pancakes the morning of a game.
Well, that sounds delicious. Is there something not many people know about you?
I don't think so. I'm a pretty open book. Yeah, no, nothing specific.
And what would be your favourite non-footy sporting moment?
Maybe my favorite non-footy sporting moment that I've been a part of
It can be that you've been a part of or
ever.
that you've watched, either or.
Oh, I watch a lot of football, so this is difficult, but probably just winning netball premiership when I was younger. That was really fun.
And who would be your favourite athlete of all time?
My favorite athlete of all time, that is a tough question. I think I really look up to um some ex-footballers. Dad is one that's probably one of my favorites just because I know him personally. But yeah, lots of ex-AFL players.
And just finally as well, do you have a bucket list holiday destination that you haven't been to but you'd like to go to?
I would love to go to Switzerland and go hiking through there.
Well, thank you so much, Violet, for joining me today and all the best of luck for pre-season and for your AFLW journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.